All right, we're here with Julio Marines of Marines Promotions. Mr. Marines, your nephew Robert, who is just recently was signed to your company a couple months ago, had the opportunity to fight against Antonio Margarito. It was in Mexico. Can you talk to us about that fight? We know you were there, also in his corner.
Yeah, I tell you what, it was a good fight that I believe that my nephew really could have won. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that maybe we had going against us, and he had going against him. We get there, a very hostile environment. We got 18,000 people rooting against him. We tried to prepare him for that, try to get his mindset, to not focus on the crowd, because we knew the crowd was going to be against us. And as soon as we walk out of that tunnel, boy, everybody booing him and calling him names. And I think maybe that's why, he got a little tense. And I think you saw that in the fight. He became more of a I'm going to try to knock this guy out and prove to him that I can, take everything that he can dish out. And I think that's maybe, what happened. He tensed up a little bit. But nevertheless, we came out of that fight with a lot of positives. Talking to Top Rank, talking to Sanford Promotions, my friend Fernando Beltran, they were all really impressed with Robert. And they want to use him again. So a lot of good things came out of the fight. For one, he lasted 10 rounds, which a lot of people didn't think he was. I did. Everybody in my team, we felt like we were going to win this fight. We really felt that Robert was going to be too strong for Margarito. And I think if you see the fight, you know that Robert was too strong for him. But Robert just couldn't, connect. He had a hard time, cutting the ring off. And I think that, Margarito's boxing, kind of threw him a curveball. He wasn't expecting Margarito to box. But Margarito boxed him, and I think that kind of got him off his game plan. But besides that, I think there's a lot of positives we can take out of that. He's the first boxer to make Margarito run basically for 10 rounds. Nobody had ever made Margarito back down actually, and turn him into a boxer, and La Amenaza did. So that's a good positive for us. The fact that he went to 10 rounds, and that we know that he's got a world-class chin now. He got dropped in the first round, but I think that was more of the fact that he was cold, and that the crowd, and he played into him, and Margarito got a little bit under his skin. And but besides that, we came out with a lot of positives for this fight. We're getting a lot of phone calls for him, and you're going to see La Amenaza back pretty shortly. I would say by late July, early August on TV.
Okay. Now, how does Robert feel about the whole situation, the whole experience? We haven't had a chance to talk to him. I don't think anybody really has, but we know that you guys, talked about it after the fight. What was going through Robert's mind?
At first he was very disappointed. You could see it also when the fight ended. He was so mad. The first thing he told me, he said, "Man, Uncle Julio, get me a rematch. Get me a rematch." I said, "Well, you know what? Let's just cool off. We just lost this fight." And I said, let's give thanks to Margarito for giving us the opportunity, and then we'll talk about your future. And that's what he did. He took the loss in stride, and at first he was very upset because he felt like Margarito ran from him. And I said, but you know what? In boxing, that's what happens. Guys adjust to you, and they're gonna do what they have to do to win the fight. He realized that he wasn't gonna knock you out, so he said, you know what? I'm gonna box him. And that's what we need to learn from that. And he agreed. He said, you know what, you're right. He thanked Margarito. And even after the fight, when they were talking, Margarito told him, hey, you're a very strong fighter. Keep doing what you're doing. You just got to throw more punches. And Margarito's manager, who's a very good friend of mine, Francisco Espinosa, told me after the fight, he said, look, after the 5th round, I told Tony, hey, you know what, you're not going to knock out this guy. But you got to be careful because he's strong enough that he can knock you out with that left hook. So let's just box him and do what we got to do to win the fight. But he said everywhere Robert hit him, he was hurting him. And that's how strong Robert is. But, like I said, Robert learned a lot from this fight, and he's going to get some other opportunities.